What the hell happened?
Caulifla! Caulifla, are you okay?
The surprise attack of voltage from the radio caught the gangster completely off guard, and while Kale tried to rouse Caulifla, Kaba was all alone, facing down the electric woman who'd materialized from the demolished receiver. And as if things couldn't get any worse, firebombs were being tossed into the broken windows of the reaping bar. A jolt of lightning shot across the room at Kaba. He barely managed to deflect it, redirecting the charge to the wall of whiskey and liquor.
I am disappointed, darlings. You made superb ammunition to use for my broadcasts, but I honestly did think you'd prove more trouble than this, allowing me to trounce you in your bordel. Come now, Fraulein. Surely Commander Gibbons didn't send his Livewire to dispose of such commonplace scum.
What are you?
Oh, come now. I know your inferior brains are slow, but you must have pieced it together by now. My broadcasts about the filth in this part of the city, I preyed on the divisions at the very heart of your country. And now, the superior races that make up your law enforcement have heard my call. Yes, listen to them. They make a symphony as they break down your doors, ready to show the rest of the country the final solution.
Livewire suddenly transformed into a storm of lightning, pushing Kale and Kaba into the flames as she traveled across the bar. She lifted Caulifla up and carried her outside like a puppet on electrified wires. The Nazi brought the Saiyan out into the angry mob as she screamed in agony. The mob cheered in excitement, Livewire dazzling them with a show of brilliant light, as if angelic. The Nazi reformed into a humanoid shape and held Caulifla by the throat.
Thank you for joining me here tonight. Your attendance proves that you are true men. Men who are ready to stop the spread of migrant scum like this one. But I have sour news. Your government is not as prepared as you fine gentlemen. This may come as a shock, but I have been sent from the fatherland. A land that has taken care of its scum, has empowered its men. You may see us as enemies, but I assure you, that is merely the propaganda of your leaders. Leaders who would release this trash onto your streets, who would let communities of inferiors breed and fester in your backyards. Leaders who would see you replaced by subhuman slime. The Führer is not some boogeyman like your feeble president has told you. Some of the laws of the Third Reich are even based on principles you held in the recent past. Do not let your leaders ruin your nation by polluting it with the inferior blood of lesser beings. Rise up tonight, take back your nation, and make it great again!
The mob roared in celebration. Livewire's mission was a success. The existing tensions between such wildly different cultures, added on to the segregation of the country, only took the slightest of provocations to broil into a riot. The mob moved out from the reaping bar and began to kick in doors and drag families from their homes. By morning, New York would be on fire. The Nazi smiled wickedly, basking in the chaos she created. Livewire let up on Caulifla just a little bit. Her concentration divided on her own showmanship, easing the flow of electricity being pumped into the Saiyan. Caulifla was finally able to catch her bearings, lifting her arms and attempting to pry at Livewire's grip.
Oh, a fighter till the end! I have a query, dear. Say you worm your way out as your ilk so often does. What then? I've already defeated you, the most powerful of your little gang. Your allies turn to ash now by my hand. What would you possibly do now? Tell me.
The only thing on my mind right now is shutting your trap.
Caulifla smacked Livewire away with a devastating headbutt, giving her the space to get back up on her feet. Kale and Kaba came rushing to her side, but the Saiyan put her hand up, telling them to stay back.
Are you crazy? She'll kill you if you fight her alone.
I won't let her hurt you, Caulifla. She has to pay!
Nah, this one's mine.
Really? After all we've been through, you still can't get over your ego? My ring can pick up her energy. It's off the charts. I'm sorry, Caulifla, but she's stronger than you.
Appreciate the vote of confidence. Now go look after the damn bar.
Caulifla walked up to Livewire, who was grinning ear to ear. Lightning cascaded off her body, circling the two.
Letting the other rats stay out of this. How noble.
Noble? I'm here because you pissed me off.
Caulifla threw a punch at Livewire, dealing no damage. Caulifla turned, waiting to see where she would reappear, only to be greeted by a kick from below, smacking her through the roof of a nearby building. Livewire materialized again and smacked her fist down onto the Saiyan, who managed to block, flipping herself onto her feet before ripping off chunks of roof and launching it at the Nazi.
You gonna run all fucking day fight me?
Oh, Fraulein, this isn't a fight.
Livewire was in front of Caulifla again, but this time, her body erupted in a blinding flash of blue. 2 hits, 20, 200, 2000! In an instant, Caulifla was overwhelmed in a massive barrage of punches, Livewire materializing and dematerializing as she hit, allowing her arms to move at unreal speed.
This is pest control!
Every time Caulifla struck back, Livewire dodged, then counter-hit with incredible precision, always aiming for vital spots, always accurate.
Your underdeveloped brain can't comprehend this, but all living things use electricity. It's how our brains send signals to our muscles. And thanks to the glory of German science, I am able to skip that step. My muscles, my entire body, my ambitions are immaculate, Fräulein. While you, where exactly did you learn to fight?
On the streets. Not these ones though, nah. Where I grew up, they eat you alive, you fascist f***.
Livewire dropped to the ground next to Caulifla, as the Saiyan once again began to swing powerful but wild blows, without any sense of form or technique.
She can't even fight properly now. Kale, we have to go help.
I want to. But Caulifla!
Yes, she's tough. She's a natural genius at brawling. But this isn't a brawl. Livewire's clearly more skilled. There's no way raw talent can bridge that gap.
Livewire continued to dodge and counteract Caulifla, but she had underestimated the Saiyan's stamina. Her attacks were wild, but they kept coming. And truth be told, the bombs Caulifla was swinging made Livewire's hair stand on end each time she dodged one. Still, her fundamentals carried her through. She couldn't be beat by a brawler. Caulifla ran out of steam and fell onto Livewire, panting for breath.
And so, we come to the end of your performance.
You stop moving.
A pair of knuckles dug themselves into Livewire's stomach and twisted. The punch reverberated throughout the street, causing the Nazi's eyes to bulge out in pain. She quickly attempted to fight back and landed a barrage of hits on Caulifla. But this time, the gangster was ready. She couldn't dodge, that had been made painfully clear. But she could only get hit if Livewire made herself solid to punch. That was the moment to aim for. She had been beaten half to death to nail the timing of this, and threw wild jabs to get Livewire to tire herself out. She struck again in a barrage of blows, this time smacking Livewire in the jaw so hard she hurtled down the entire street.
You! How are you doing this?
What? Those love taps of yours weren't enough to put me down. But it looks like they've started to juice you out. Bet you never fought someone as tough as me before. Bet you never had to dig deep. Now, you're slow enough for me to sock you one.
The rat had a plan. Then shall we see if that's true?
Livewire dashed forward and Caulifla matched her, the pair disappearing in a blitz of movement. It was unclear who was coming out on top, until Caulifla was blasted to the ground, while Livewire floated above her.
Love taps, did you say? I hope those burns hurt you, little bitch! Burn the filth from this!
Put something real special into those, you goose-stepping ratsy bitch!
Shots erupted from Caulifla's key-infused Tommy gun, blasting holes in Livewire's body. They weren't fatal. Livewire was made of pure electricity, the product of German military science, designed to create super soldiers to contend with the Allies' bombshells. But without realizing it, Livewire had revealed a weakness. As she regenerated the holes in her body, Caulifla noticed her displays of lightning getting smaller. Not only were her blows draining her, but now it was clear Livewire did have a limit.
What do you know? I can kill you.
Livewire had underestimated Caulifla. She had to regroup and recharge. So she transformed yet again into a bolt of energy and attempted to escape through the electrical lines.
Oh, don't make me run. It's gonna be worse if you make me run.
Caulifla gave chase, while Kale instantly dashed after her. Kaba wanted to follow the pair, but stopped to help protect the people of the borough from the police and the mob, while respecting Caulifla's wish to fight alone.
Please don't do anything reckless, Kale.
Flying between buildings as they followed the path of blue energy emitting from the power lines, Caulifla let off barrages of ki every time she saw Livewire's energy jump between lines. Eventually, the Nazi had to take the risk and leave the lines as they were hampering her speed. But the second the Nazi was airborne, Caulifla dive-bombed into her like a Mach 24 Spitfire, sending both of them crashing onto Liberty Island.
You ain't getting away. You burned down my fucking house.
The arrogance of a foreign invader, stealing soil from those who were born there.
The only invader here is you, punk. Now, I'm gonna kick your ratsy ass all over Lady Liberty. Kale, Kaba, and the rest of our gang is clearing the clocks of you stupid cops. That's what the gang was brought in for to begin with. To protect the people in our borough from the stinking pigs.
Ignorant trash! Did you truly believe I would enter into a duel with you without doing my research? Your ape-like tactics were merely a surprise, but not anywhere near the trump card you hope it to be. First, I'll deal with you, then your gang, then I'll rip your stolen home down to the bedrock.
Bring it on.
The Saiyan charged at Livewire, but Caulifla hadn't realized she'd just been stalling for time. During their brief exchange, she'd kept bursting into flashes of bright blue light, sending a signal. A beacon. One that caused a German U-boat to surface. Dr. Hugo Strange emerged from the top. He was ecstatic that he could test his creation on such a powerful subject. A hatch was opened, and a red and grey blur shot out of it directly towards Caulifla, with a punch so strong that Caulifla fell unconscious. The Saiyan was knocked from the statue and fell deep into the water surrounding them.
Behold, the communist bombshell scum has been reborn as an Aryan Valkyrie. Her power, her might, what it is they face.
Bizarro Supergirl dove into the water, using her X-ray hearing to find the injured Saiyan, lifting her up by the hair in front of Hugo Strange and Livewire. The scientist without a country, Hugo Strange, cared little about Livewire's or anyone else's agenda. All he cared about were the results, and his experiment seemed to be a success. A fully powered clone of the Soviet Kryptonian. Now, it was just a matter of seeing if it was able to perform against such a powerful opponent. Caulifla woke up and immediately began to attack the Bizarro clone, but was suddenly struck from behind by a bolt from Livewire. When she turned to fire back, the Nazi shifted back to her energy bolt form and darted away faster than Caulifla's blasts could track. She wasn't able to keep up the volume of key attacks it took to back Livewire into a corner, as the clone began to attack with even more power than the gangster had ever dealt with before. Punches that knocked the wind out of her even when she was on guard. Speed that was light years beyond her own. Livewire alone was already taking everything she had. Against Bizarro as well, she was just a punching bag. Yes, my creation is perfect.
This has been enlightening, Fraulein. But now, I'm afraid it's time for you to exit the stage.
Yeah, you wanna know where you fucked up?
What?
You thought I was the strong one.
Get away from my one and only!
The Berserker Saiyan was in front of Livewire and Bizarro before the Nazis could process it, blasting them both away with a beam of green energy. Caulifla fell to the ground but was caught by Kale. The gangster looked up into her love's eyes. They'd changed. Something primal had been unleashed in her. A rage, love, a wrath.
That's some power. Thanks, Angel Face. I think I just need a moment to catch my breath.
Caulifla passed out in her lover's arm. Kale began to breathe heavier as her wrath grew. Luckily, the target of her rage came back with a vengeance. Livewire reappeared and began to unload on the two Saiyans, the first few bolts striking Kale in the back. She began to move around to try and strike a fatal blow on the unconscious Caulifla. But Kale was a brick wall, the bolts bouncing off her harmlessly. The giant placed Caulifla on the ground and rushed towards Livewire. It was only saved by Bizarro intercepting the blow, smacking Kale across the jaw. The pain only added to her rage, her power growing to match it. And Kale grabbed Supergirl by the foot, smashing her into the ground, then throwing her with so much force she landed in a desert in Egypt. Livewire was shaking in fear as Kale reached for the Nazi's throat, finally looking for a chance to silence those months of hate-filled speech, but her hands passed right through the blue skin as she received an excruciating jolt. Kale was undeterred and began to swipe wildly at the Nazi, each blow receiving the same result of painful shocks traveling through her body.
Foolish brute! I am the very pinnacle of German science. There is no physical mattery unless I choose for there to be. At least your unnatural partner understood that. Strike at me all night if you wish. You are the only one who shall feel pain.
Quiet!
Kale charged two fists full of energy and brought them together in a clap around Livewire's head, the resulting explosion scattering the Nazi across the island. Livewire reformed, her vision dizzy, and from her mouth, blood. Or what counted as blood for her new body. This wasn't supposed to be possible. She was an Übermensch. She had surpassed humanity. She had gone beyond the streets of Germany. She should never allow fear to touch her again.
You beast! You filthy monkey! You disgusting perversion of a woman! This will not be my end! I will exterminate you!
Livewire fired a blast at Kale's chest, but the Saiyan continued to walk, unfazed by the energy covering her body, as if she was simply walking through water. As Livewire's reserves began to fall empty, Bizarro recovered and was now joining in the blast, adding her own heat breath to the well of power. A gigantic inferno erupted from the clone's mouth and, combined with Livewire, actually pushed Kale back, blasting her into the water. Hugo Strange was amazed. He had never expected Bizarro to be able to push herself this far. He was practically dancing on the boat, but suddenly the submarine began to rumble as it rose further out of the New York harbor. The sub kept emerging till it was well above the surface of the water. From underneath, the enraged Saiyan lifted the U-boat into the air, then hurled it, reuniting Hugo Strange with his precious creature. The U-boat crashed into the clone with tremendous force, exploding in a gigantic display of metal and fire. The mad clone erupted from the debris and began to engage Kale in an awe-inspiring battle, each of their punches sending waves that crashed against the island, as two beasts of pure rage, one of natural legend and one of scientific cruelty. Back and forth, their seemingly infinite power crashing against each other with no end in sight. Two unstoppable forces. But eventually, something had to give. Bizarro and Kale engaged in an arm lock, their teeth gritted, with Bizarro firing fire from her mouth and ice from her eyes into Kale's face, causing her screams of anger to be twisted into pain. Yet as Bizarro was focused on them, she had only just noticed that Kale had pushed forward with an even greater surge of might, ripping one of the clone's arms off. Kale smacked Bizarro to the statue with her severed arm, then began to slam her fists against the clone, over and 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 over, until the sounds of bones cracking were replaced with something bloody and wet. The arm of the statue was crumbling under the pressure, creaking as it began to slowly lose its strength. Kale stood over the bloody body of Bizarro and let out a primal scream, her energy having no end to it. But then, a lightning bolt shot through the Saiyan's open mouth. Kale's body was overwhelmed from the inside, and as quickly as it came, her wrathful power flickered out, causing the Saiyan to slump to the ground, return to her base form.
You damn swine! Looks like I can hurt you. Your muscles may get bigger, but you can't strengthen your internal organs, eh?
Livewire spat on the ground and raised her foot over Kale's neck.
You make me feel fear? Me? No, Fraulein. All I will remember from this day is the sound of your broken neck.
As Livewire's boot came crashing down, it was caught by a bloodied Caulifla, who threw Livewire towards the arm of the statue, the Nazi smacking against it and falling back to the ground.
That's my Kale. Never seen her so jacked. Amazing. She really fucked you up.
My Supergirl has already defeated you. You can barely stand. Even as I am now, I will win this day.
Maybe. Wanna test that? Draw. Let's see who's the fastest gun in the West.
Both were on their last reserves. Both had only one shot left. The two stared at each other. Caulifla holding her gun, Livewire charging a lightning bolt from her fingers, waiting for the first signal to move. Livewire's eyes shone bright blue as she fired her blast from her fingertips directly at Caulifla's heart. Caulifla responded, firing a single key-infused shot from her gun. Caulifla's attack missed Livewire and ricocheted off the rubble behind her, up towards the mountain statue, while Livewire was faster and hit the mark, zapping Caulifla and bringing the Saiyan face first to the ground.
Yes! I've won! My blitzkrieg left your pathetic defenses in ruins. This is the dawn of a new era. My powers are unmatched. My goals are utterly pure. I am immaculate. And you, for all your talk, your illogical acts, couldn't even shoot straight.
Wasn't aiming for ya.
Suddenly, Livewire's light was covered by a gigantic shadow. The blast from Caulifla took out the last of the supports, and the torch of liberty crashed onto the preacher of hate. The night sky lit up bright blue as the electrified Nazi hit the water and dispersed in a million directions at once.
Don't ever try to explain me away with logic.
Caulifla got up, slowly and painfully. The final bolt from Livewire didn't get to hit her, thankfully. She'd been keeping something next to her heart that had blocked her. She walked up to Kale, waking her one and only up, and letting her know that things seemed to be over. As the two Saiyans caught their breath, they heard the twisted whispers of Bizarro, who was at death's door. Caulifla offered to put the creature out of its misery, but Kale saw the sadness in its eyes. It had been used as a weapon, nothing more. Livewire, Strange, the Nazis, they just took life and used it, despite all their talk of purity.
Don't worry. I'm here. My name's Kale. I'm so sorry it happened like this. But you're not alone.
Kale held Bizarro's hand as the clone's life began to fade, giving peace to an existence known only from pain.
Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempted toss to me. I lift my lampshade beside the golden door.
With the threats now over, Kale and Caulifla made their way back to their home to check in on how Kaba and the gang handled things with Livewire's mob of cops. They were happy to see that the fires were being put out and that the cops were all sitting in the street, surrounded by not just the gang, but just about everyone in the neighborhood. Livewire wanted to light the whole town on fire with a riot, and her army didn't even make it 6 blocks before it was stopped by the people they were sent to terrorize.
We were able to stop the pigs from hurting anyone. What do you want to do with them?
You can't kill us. We're the police.
Good shit, Bennett. Alright, you wanna know where you f***ed up? You came to our borough wanting to stir up some shit. Well, you got it. And by the looks of things, more shiners than a boxing gym. You got lucky was all that was. You lot got introduced to the pavement by my gang while I was indisposed. You wanna try it again when I'm around and see how well that goes for you? Be my guest. Little Miss Ratsy got in your head. Make you think you were tough shit when you ain't. And don't fool yourself either, she didn't play you. You bought it all because she knew what kind of man you were. Fact is, you ain't superior to no one. Just a bunch of yellow cowards hiding behind a badge. Against my better judgment, I'm letting you bacon backs walk out of here. But don't think for a second it's out of my Christian nature. Losing a fight stinks. And when you schlep on home, it's gonna stick with you. You're gonna think about this a lot. Good. Think about losing to us. 'Cause it's gonna keep happening. You can't get rid of us. This is our home and we ain't going nowhere. Now get the fuck out of my neighborhood.
That was a good one, Caulifla. You really told him.
Yeah, I was out of bullets.
As the police were kicked out of the borough, Caulifla fell rather suddenly to her knee while grabbing her heart.
Oh, Caulifla, are you okay?
Yeah, it's just...
Stand back, Kale. I'll use my ring to repair any damage.
Copper, no! Damn it!
Don't be stubborn. You were obviously hurt in the battle.
Copper, get out of here with that thing! Go fix a Statue of Liberty or something!
Just remain still.
Copper, you're pissing me off!
You should let him fix you up, Caulifla. I'll go make some herbal tea to help.
Oh, goddammit, Copper, I'm not hurt!
The gangster yelled as she pulled the copied Green Lantern ring from her bra, holding it out with her arm.
I'm trying to ask Kale to fucking marry me!